It all started with my chemistry and math teacher, Mr. Gian. Hey, Mr. Gian, are you okay? Things never go down like they should. You know, the easy way.
Ooh, watch out now.
You never asked what happened.
What happened?
I couldn't get here on time. But somehow, I always end up back here, in this same place.
Guess who's back? Kung Fu Chronicles, baby. We are rolling and a whole lot of shakings going on right here on the channel. Just rocked a brand new self-defense video with myself and Sifu Gus Gates from The Village out there in Westlake. A big shout out to all of his staff. It's a new show we're calling Debunk the Junk, okay? Where we're putting a critical eye on some very important women's self-defense techniques, okay? Be on the lookout for more of those. I'll leave that link so you can check the episode out later. But quickly, if you could, do me a favor, smash that like button, follow us on our social media so you can get the 411 on what's up and what we got coming up next and down the road on the channel, okay? Always get some behind the scenes looks going there. On to business, and I think you're gonna like this spotlight because it features a new project that you may or may not be aware of. It's called Black Kung Fu Chick. It's a new web series that's making its film festival rounds right now. And today I'm talking with its creator, writer, producer, Ms Rae Shaw. So get all the info on the new show with me right now. Black Kung Fu Chick, and it's a project that at first I wasn't even aware of, but I'm so glad I am now. First of all, welcome to the show. How are you?
Nice to meet you.
Good, I know. Nice to meet you too. So it's a weird pairing because the two of us are like related in a way because your aunt and my aunt are both best friends, and that's like how I became aware of you. Your aunt sent me an email. It's like, hey, check out my niece's project. I think you might like it. I'm like, cool, and I did, and I was like, yeah, I'm all in. This is what I'm all about. And she knows I'm a big martial arts head. So talk to us a little about Black Kung Fu Chick and how things all got started for you with that.
Yeah, so Black Kung Fu Chick is a web series. I would say a 10 episodes web series that's in development. We just completed the first sequence of episodes that premiered at Slam Dance, and it's been a long gestating project. I probably started working on it back in 2015, 2016.
Wow.
It really came from, obviously my love of the martial arts, but also a lot of the work I did in South LA that had to do with advocating for young Black women and protecting their health through a health prevention program.
Nice. So, and the basic story to me is basically like a young pre-med student kind of like encounters some bullying in South LA, like you're saying, and then goes to her math teacher, right? Who's also like a Kung Fu master in a way, and she thinks she's gonna learn Kung Fu just that, but she ends up learning a lot more, right?
Yeah, I was really inspired by this idea of energy and Qi. I'm someone who has been taking Tai Chi for a number of years. And I met this really great teacher in Los Angeles who was just a fantastic teacher. I mean, I'm a teacher myself, and the teachers that really can get you excited are the ones that are just kind of super excited about their own content, right? And he had this way of talking about Kung Fu and Tai Chi and energy and how it was like replicated in everything. Like, it could be like soda and he would find a way to like relate it. He would take like these little biology things, the sperm and the egg, and that was all, yin and yang. I mean,
I was about to say cyclical yin and yang, right?
Yeah, he was really lovely that way, and nice. so the story really was born from that idea, which you said is totally correct. It's about this girl who gets into a lot of fights, And the summer that she's supposed to graduate, she kind of messes up, and so she's in summer school. And the teacher who was working with her at school, she ends up running into outside of school, and he sees that she's got a bruise, and he says, you know, why don't I help you? And she thinks it's going to be to teach her how to fight better, but actually what he's doing is trying to help her to access more of her chi so that she can be a better healer.
Right, and I love that whole aspect. I really enjoyed the story, especially, you know, because it's basically about a young Black woman, and you don't really see that angle being taken. Let me ask you, did you always have a passion for martial arts? Was it always just like kind of a thing where you just like watching martial arts movies as a kid, or how did your interest even start?
I did watch a lot of martial arts films when I was a kid. You know, that was like the VHS years.
Right? Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah, when they would, I think when the networks would kind of go off or not really have their main stuff, they would, you know, pull some other material from various places. And I would tape a lot of the martial arts films. I was really just interested in like the rhythm and the dance and like the choreography of it. I always thought was really interesting. And whenever there was a woman who was in the lead position, I just, you know, was really drawn to that. And I think, you know, as a young Black woman, I think I was really hungering for a lot of, you know, models who were superheroes. And, you know, I think there were a number of Blaxploitation films that were out there. I think I was also kind of drawn to like Bionic Woman and Wonder Woman and,
right.
You know, characters like that, and you know, Dynasty was on. I mean, so there was all that stuff, but I didn't really get to see a Black female figure that really kind of inspired me. And so a lot of the female Asian martial artists, you know, they were so interesting because they were fighting, but usually they were different from a lot of the the male martial artists who, you know, it was kind of like a pride ego thing. You know, you hurt me, you killed my father.
That's right. I killed your master.
And it was things like that. But, you know, whenever the female martial artists would show up, a lot of times it was about community or family or, you know, really this idea of protection and justice. And, you know, I was really drawn to that.
And now I know you're a teacher and you're teaching out there, but before that, you have a background in film, yes? Obviously, that was your main startup. That's how things got kind of rolling for you.
Yeah, I currently live in Boston. I teach at Emerson College, but before that, I was living in LA for over 10 years as a filmmaker. Yeah, I've produced and directed, written a number of shorts. I've also written a number of feature screenplays that have gotten some substantial awards. I'm still working on that feature breakthrough.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I love that. So talk to me more about Black Kung Fu Chick. You basically said you started 2016, so 5-6 years ago almost on this project. It's probably safe to say this is kind of like your baby, right? What are some of the challenges, I guess, from start to finish, from seeing it back then to finally fruition?
You know, there were two really interesting challenges, you know, as a filmmaker. One was the timing. So the time that I wrote in 2016 to, you know, when we actually shot, which was 2019, you know, a lot changed, and there was a lot of gentrification that was happening in Los Angeles during that time. And so I wrote it, you know, really motivated through, you know, the places where I had been and I had worked and that I knew very well. You know, they were very integral to the storytelling. And by the time we went to shoot, they were wiped out. I mean, they were demolished, they were gone, they were replaced.
Yeah.
So, you know, that was one really big challenge, was, you know, really trying to figure out, okay, how do I tell this story? in a different way. And I ultimately think that actually did benefit the film, having to rewrite a lot of that. And then the other big issue, money's always the issue, so I'm not going to talk about that.
You're right. Yeah, it's kind of a given, right? It's like, gotta get the money to do this thing, right?
I know, but the other big issue was shooting on Super 8.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. Yeah.
Which was something that I was really committed to, and it was something I had to be committed to. At some point, I had to decide, like, just how important is it? Because it's, it just really affected us on so many different levels, money and crew and time and really everything. And so, I had to decide to commit or to just let it go. And it was really important to me to have this kind of feel that Super 8 provides. It just doesn't look the same, right? It doesn't look the same as a more kind of intimate sort of, like I'm shooting my family, at home kind of feel. And, I really liked that. And I also liked how reminiscent it is of the look of old martial arts films, which, 16 doesn't quite capture. It's really kind of a different look, and Super 8 is not designed to be sound sync, and so we had to search for basically one camera in all of the Los Angeles area that could accomplish sound sync.
Wow.
And it's also a very noisy camera because it's not designed to be a sound sync camera, so that there were numerous challenges. Yeah.
No. Well, how long did it take, filming wise? You said you started in 2019. How long did that take from like start to finish?
So once we did decide to shoot, it was a 4-day shoot. So that actually went kind of quickly. Definitely would have been better if we had just a little bit more time, but it's an indie shoot. You end up having to compromise a couple of things. It was really interesting because it also shooting on Super 8 also meant that the actors had to really shift their performance. It's a challenge that I didn't mention was that we saw, at least 100 and probably 200 different actresses before we found Taylor, who is fantastic. I mean, she's really just amazing. And a lot of the younger actors now, they're really used to shooting on digital, which is like, hey, I can just kind of take my time. It's kind of endless.
Right. Yeah.
Lots of time, and
fix it in post, don't worry. Right.
Yeah, that's right. And yeah, I think our, first couple of shots, I was just kind of like, oh, we don't have time like that. Super 8 became a one-take wonder. Like, if we had anything more than 5 takes, that was like a miracle. And, most takes were like, 2. There were 2 takes. If we got it in 1, we were like moving on. So.
Right, because like they say, time is money too. So it's like you got that camera, you got to get it right, and hey guys, you got to get to it. So I'm glad you brought up the cast. I really like the cast and the chemistry. How long did it take to find your main cast member, who is Tasha's the main, she's the protagonist of it, and then Mr. Gian? How long did it take to find those 2 guys? Because I know that's about chemistry also. It's not just about finding good actors, right?
It was, yeah. We saw less Mr. Gian's. We just had a really hard time, actually for both roles, finding the right Asian male actor who did or didn't need to know Kung Fu. That actually wasn't really a requirement for us.
Oh, okay.
We did want to find someone who was authentically Chinese, but we're also Chinese American, I should say, but we're leaving it open to a lot of different Asian Americans because it was actually challenging finding that actor as well. And then for Tasha, it was actually finding someone who knew Kung Fu. But Taylor didn't. She was just a badass and
Nice.
and was just interested in learning and said I'm just into it. She's really into health though. She's a dancer. She's really into health. And once the choreographer taught her how to do it, she committed and she learned it. And when you see those punches flying, I mean, those are real, swings, and the actors have to be committed to it and trust and all of that. And I was really impressed and moved by her performance. So yeah, it was very difficult finding the two of them, and we did do a chemistry test.
And I'm glad you mentioned the choreography, because I'm looking and it's like, all right, for someone, I wasn't sure, did she have a background in martial arts or not, but you answered that question. And then I was gonna ask, that's probably where a lot of if you have to do more takes, it's gotta be a little challenging with the choreography, because like you say, you gotta get it right and make it look, kind of realistic. So how was that? Did you obviously had a stunt coordinator, or how did you get all that together?
Yeah, we did. We had a stunt coordinator, and he was actually really great because he helped us in two ways. He not only helped us to choreograph the moves, of course, and teach Taylor how to execute them, but the other thing was the camera. So it's also not just about what the performance is and what the actors are doing. It's also about how the camera actually catches it and captures it. And so he actually worked with our DP as well, who had done some film work before. But she also just needed a little bit of guidance and, just how, what angles and what turns and doing all of those things that she needed to capture. And so he was great.
Is it ever specifically said what style of Kung Fu she's learning? Because it's interesting to me how he makes her sit down and watch, like a video of like the crane and these animals and stuff. And she thinks right away, oh, we're going to just go in and you're going to like show me how to get in a fight stance and all that. And he's like, no, sit here, watch the crane, watch the video, and then tell me like what you saw. And I thought that was really cool because there's different styles of Kung Fu. And I told you over the phone, like one is like the 5 animal style where they really are focused on different animal techniques and the catching of the crane and the way the tiger, like will claw and things like that. But so I guess, was there ever really mentioned in your feature, like what specific one she's studying?
What's that? Oh, that's just the black Kung Fu chick. Ain't she cute?
Yeah, I was really interested in the crane, which I think is actually used in Karate Kid. It's got
that kick.
But I was particularly interested in the crane because of what I was studying with Tai Chi. And so I learned that there was a crane style that was similar to a style of Tai Chi. So as I was just kind of digging more into the martial arts and really finding out exactly what kind of moves she would use and how would those be executed. So the more I learned about martial arts, the more I kind of discovered some things. And I discovered that, there's a lot of really kind of graceful moves that are really helpful, especially for a woman, to be able to execute. But I also found out that the crane is lethal.
Yeah, pretty deadly. Like I said, there are techniques. Yeah, it's about the catching and it's about, finding openings and things like that. important thing too, and that probably was something important for you as well, that she's a pre-med student. So you definitely got an education base. So that I'm thinking that was something you wanted purposely put in the story.
Yeah, it was really about. I'm just really interested in this age. So I teach college, and I think it's a really interesting age. I taught high school before, now I teach college, but I'm really interested in these years of like kind of this 14 to like 25, 27, where, there's, it's like the young adults, and a lot of decisions get made during the young adult years, that can have a really deeply impactful effect on the next decade. And I think for young women, that's kind of even more so. And so I've just always been drawn to stories that really kind of focus on that age group and what's happening with them and what they're learning, what they're discovering. And just a lot of my work in education also just kind of focuses on that age. I just think it's such a intriguing time. Seeing young people kind of blossom and grow and looking at the decisions that they really make during those times, which are important. I think there's a lot of mistakes obviously that also happen then.
Yeah. Well, it's the time you're discovering yourself, kind of your purpose, where you think you want to go in life and stuff. So that's also awesome. So I know you guys you're doing the film festival circuit now. I mean, I know there's got to be some interest in the project. So like, where are you looking to go with this now?
We've been able to get a few meetings out of it. So with a few production companies. So we're definitely looking to see if it can get picked up as a series, either as a continuing web series or as a series that might be on Netflix or some sort of streaming platform like that. Before that, a lot of my work is really education based, and I'm really interested in the community. And although I think streaming is able to reach a lot of my audiences, I also think that there's a lot of just grassroots work that can still be done and that I really grew up with, and I think is really, really important. And so we're planning on first of all developing a game portion. So it's we call the series a Transmedia story, in that it's a story that's told over a few different platforms. So there's the web series episodes, but there's also supposed to be a blog, which is going to come out of our website. There's also a series of comics that are supposed to help to tell Tasha's story from the perspective of her brother. So like a young Black man that's living in South LA, and he is someone who really actually encourages her and really comes up with the idea of calling her the Black Kung Fu chick. It's nice. So it's like a story within a story, and seeing what his life is like. He's a graphic designer who's living at home and helping with the bills, but trying to also make it as an artist. And then the other part is the game. And so the game is supposed to be played on the mobile app, and is a game where participants could pretend to be Tasha or one of the other characters and execute decisions based around these three areas that I think are really important for young women. So career, family, love, and to really explore decision making, and how, if I make this one decision, like what can I see are some of the consequences, short term, long term, that might come forth from that. And if I don't like that, what if I make a different decision? What might be the consequences that come forth from that? And so we really wanted to explore that. And so once we have a base component of the game, we're planning a college tour.
Oh,
To
nice.
take the episodes out with the game and to talk with young women about Tasha and their choices and, you know, what's going on within their lives.
So you mentioned the website is, if people want more information, can they hit up the website and kind of, you know, get information about the project and everything?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's, you know, blackkungfuchick.com.
Okay, cool. All right. Yeah. See, I didn't even know there was a website. I was going to ask you one final question too. I like the soundtrack. Has anybody mentioned that? I thought the soundtrack was kind of cool. Like, you know, you blend of like this almost neo soul, hip hoppy kind of thing at times. It's like,
Mr. Gian taught me about lasting, holding tight until you get there.
The music team, the music and the sound team were amazing. Yeah. So we had a music supervisor. It was the first time I worked with a music supervisor. Her name was Kay Green.
nice.
And Kay was really great. I mean, she, I had some things I really wanted early on, and we had to have a little conversation where she's like, okay, you know, this is your budget, Rae.
So just so people know, when they finally do see it, it's broken up into chapters. I think I saw the first 4. How many are there total?
There are like 10 like full episodes, but within each episode, I basically say that there are mini episodes. So actually I call like one full episode, I call it a sequence, like a sequence of like these mini episodes.
Oh, okay.
And so there are 4 that we've accomplished, which kind of act as a set. And so whenever there's a set, there's one fight sequence.
Okay.
And so the structure is kind of like every set will have like a fight sequence that ends up bookending the episode. So like, you know, there'll always be like a build up to a fight sequence at the beginning that by the time we end this, the mini episodes will resolve. Because it's very expensive to make those fight sequences, and
I can imagine. Yep.
and you know, and the story is, you know, it's you know, even though we love the fights, the story is not about the fighting, right? It's about her growth and her change and her becoming a healer, learning more about herself, and, you know, discovering and finding her dream. I mean, at the end of the day, that's really what the story is about. It's about
her journey.
People finding their dreams and finding the way to bring them to fruition.
I so appreciate you taking the time, and looking forward to seeing more from you.
So there you go, Black Kung Fu Chick. You guys ready to see this or what? I know I am.
We see each other. We see each other. We do.
Trust me, the first couple episodes that Rae shared with me are so cool. So I'm hoping you all get to peep it very, very soon on a media platform near you. And make sure you support when it comes out, okay? Hit that Black Kung Fu Chick site for even more info on the show. Does the new series sound good to you? You anxious to see it? Let me know down below. And hey, while you're at it, hit that little subscribe button if you would be so kind. If you like our vids, share. Of course, that's how we grow. Guys, check out a few other videos you may like while you're here. Stay safe. See you guys all in the next round. And of course, keep punching.